Alright, good morning again. It's Keen. Today I want to talk about Manta Maria, the second map added in the update. This is a returning map from Splatoon 2, if you didn't know that. In terms of layout, it's pretty similar to the last game, but there are a little few differences here and there. First of all, in the spawn, this area is new. You can get up here by doing this. Secondly, this is something that basically blew my mind, is you can get on top of this boat. This actually does matter in Turf War. It's kind of funny, because this was never here in 2, and there's another boat over here and here that were there in 2, but they're just for aesthetic. This is totally new. It's very specific, not the most useful thing ever. Maybe you'll get value in here with some weapons, but I just think it's very funny. Next thing, very, very minor. This is an elevation change. I'm pretty confident this wasn't an elevation change in 2. So that's a really minor thing. Funnel jump you can do is this. You can do it either way. It was one of my favorite things to do in 2. Honestly, it feels easier in this game, and I failed immediately, because that's what happens when you hit record. But such as this is pretty much the same. The street in this part is much wider. In Splatoon 2, it was probably like up to here. Like maybe this wide. That's pretty cool. New thing is, obviously in this game with this movement, you can do something like this, which is cool. This block jutting out is also new. This is a funny spot for a roller. If you play Carbon and do verticals, you can hit people through walls. That's pretty funny. Next thing that changed is the grading here is a bit higher. If you're playing a charger, you can get angles such as this now, which is cool. Because the grading wasn't the most useful thing in Splatoon 2, so I'm glad that changed. This is pretty much the same. You can't paint that end of the wall, but what you can do, minor movement thing, that's kind of neat. I'm probably going to fail it. But you can jump around here, do that. I'm not good at it because I saw it on Twitter one time this morning. But that's pretty neat. General layout of spawn, pretty much the same deal. Although, one thing that is very different that made me pick Damper specifically for this is you can zipcast onto this and get up here and walk around here now. You can even get on top of this, which blew my mind the first time I saw this, or first time I discovered this. You can stand here too. Because that was pretty much just a for funsies sprinkler spot. There was a dancing jellyfish with like a captain's hat in the last game, so that's pretty neat. Again, minor elevation change here. You can walk on the railing here. That bit is new. Falling off, great stuff. But yeah, generally talking about the layout, it's pretty similar to 2. The main differences that I'll show is the removal of a block on the left side, specifically in Tower Control and Rainmaker, which I'm not big on, but we'll get to that. Right now we're talking about zones. Same layout, 2 squares. I saw a thing on Twitter this morning that kind of boggled my mind, because this was never a thing in Splatoon 2, and that is you can get up here. There's no collision on this, and this is the first time I'm trying it. If I can get it. If you backflip off of this, like, I honestly have no idea if this is intentional or not, but you can backflip off of this and get up here, which is very strange and very strong for some weapons potentially. I genuinely don't know if this is intentional or not. It's a little tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's not bad. It gives you an insane view on what's happening on the map, especially if you're on the front end, if you're pushing right. You can see a lot of what's happening, like if someone's down there in the distance. Potentially crazy for Expo, chargers such as that, things like that. Can't even paint this. Yeah, it's really weird. I genuinely cannot tell if this is intentional or not. But I'm guessing it is. It's just very strange. This didn't exist in 2. But yeah, in terms of layout, pretty much the same. Not much to say about that. I saw one clip on Twitter of someone going up here, popping Zuka, killing a guy behind this wall. That was very funny. This is a bit of a ramp. Yeah, that kind of covers the gist of zones. This map changes a decent amount between modes, so we'll get to that right now. Let's do tower control. This one's a little bit different because of what I mentioned a moment ago. The general layout is very similar, but you'll see as we go. So TC, pretty much same layout and spawn. Checkpoints are pretty much... Well, actually, I can't even say pretty much. The second one's quite different, but path ends here, checkpoint here is the same. In TC, because this used to be thinner in Splatoon 2, it was more like the checkpoint was basically hugging this wall, and you could jump onto the tower and then go from there to here. In this game, the checkpoint is here, and once the tower is rotated here, you can jump over to the top left, because they removed the block that existed here, the flank in S2, and I'm not really big on that initially, but we'll see how that plays out. But you can still kind of do it when you're pushing tower. then get up here, go up here. That block's paintable, sort of do all that. Bunker, pretty much the same. Again, the street being wider, I think, is the big difference maker here, honestly, because it was very, like, cramped area in the last game. First checkpoints here, it's the same, 10 points, not too much. A decent length, I guess. Path curves, goes into street. The general pathing is the same, but the differences in the layout come from how wide the street is. So you can see, yes, from here, I can get up here, I can get up here, this is paintable, this is paintable. And yeah, you're gonna have to use the tower if you want to push up on the left side without the use of some, like, special. You can also go here. That's pretty neat. Again, on defense, I think it's interesting because you can shark this wall here. You do have to charge off the wall to get up here, so it does announce yourself a bit, but it's a movement option to rotate, so that's cool. Actually, I do wonder. Last checkpoint's 8, but what I'm thinking now is because of the thing I showed on zones here. So you can stand on this. They're probably... I don't know if the squid, you know, jump on mid without the use of a special is intended, but that's interesting. Actually, on that note, do keep in mind that in Rainmaker and TC that doesn't exist. You can obviously zip on top of this, but the mass only exists in clan butt zones and turf. So that's worth noting. Because the Rainmaker and TC layouts are pretty much, not identical, but in terms of layout, the middle mass being missing is the staple on those two modes. Now, in Rainmaker, I actually do like the adjustment they did with the addition of checkpoints because it sort of alleviates a problem I had in S2 with this map, and you'll see what I mean on the side path. Again, spawn's pretty much the same. Path ends here, just like before. This little block here is new. Another defensive piece of geometry to work with. You'll immediately see this left platform is much wider, like much wider than in the other modes. And 2 is basically identical to the other one, so there's a checkpoint here. Much wider platform, so a lot less of a single choke point that gets flushed by like one bomb, so that's good. I like that. Top of the middle of the map is identical to tower. So you have the checkpoint on the left, and you have the checkpoint on the right. Again, you can't flank from here, which is a little bit weird. You can get onto the checkpoint from here, which is cool. Even as this goes down, you can still get up here, so don't worry about that. Honestly, with the minor changes here and the fact that left is more accessible via the checkpoint, generally most games on Manta, Rainmaker, and 2 worked in such a way that you probably ended up going through street, you pushed here, you drop zone here, you sort of suicide it for like 30. That's how it generally played. But honestly, with the new checkpoint, this probably makes this path not necessarily more viable as in like better, but it makes it a more viable alternative, because you can paint this, get up here, that's nice. And from here you can actually get to a pretty rough position to defend because you have like height advantage. You can go up here. From here you can knock out. That's pretty neat. But outside of that, it does play similarly to the Rainmaker in 2. I think the biggest thing is really this, like this is a viable space to sit in. Because in 2 it's pretty much like this width, like this little block, and that's it. So, you would try and sit here on defense or, here or here. And you kind of do this and you get like 2 bombs thrown at you and you probably die or just have to sacrifice all the space. So this makes it a lot more manageable, for sure. So I'm a big fan of that change. Again, I'm a little mixed on no block here, but I think it's more of a problem in TC because you have to wait for the tower to actually get over there. I think in Rainmaker it's more excusable because you can actually, you're obviously exposed for a moment, but once you're up here, and this is a pretty strong position for some weapons to be in outright. So that's pretty cool. So we have one more mode to go over in this video, and that's Clan Blitz. And Clan Blitz was actually my least favorite mode on this map in Splatoon 2. So it was one that I was really interested to play in. The general layout is pretty similar to 2, but actually there's one like crucial mechanic I haven't mentioned yet that I think makes the right side on Manta actually a lot less of a, how would you say, a death trap, I suppose. And I'll talk about that first. The general layout is really similar. There's no block here. But this is the one variant where they kept this block, so you can flank from here now, so this is nice. And because of the changes to sort of this area, Particularly this. This is the notable change. This actually makes pushing from the side a lot more viable, in my opinion. That's a pretty good change. I like this. But what I was talking about before when I said a mechanic change in 3 actually makes the map more feasible is the problem with this in Splatoon 2 is you were committed to this position, as in you would have to either choose to jump out, because you can do that while sitting on walls, or you'd have to peek this. But because it's such a thin area, it's very easy to kill you. But in Splatoon 3, you have the ability, you know, flip off of walls. That alone makes this a lot less of a death trap, because you don't have to commit to jumping out or to peek over the ledge. Like, this is huge. Because this was just a death trap into. I've had like a million clips playing that game of just hiding on this wall and like trying to, you know, see if people can hit me or if they know, and just, you know, being trapped. A lot of silly interactions like that. So that change alone is nice. But the bigger thing to me is because the street's a lot wider in this version, it's a lot less of a choke point. The problem in 2, it felt like, is you would always have people kind of sitting on this wall, either here or behind here, and, you know, the combination of this with how like thin the street is, you would just like throw a bomb and it pretty much covered the whole thing. I think making it a lot wider helps. Outside of that, I think the notable difference is because the street is much wider, when you do this, if you want to score from this position, you basically have to stand on the grates. You see the little marker? Like, you know, pretend it's a clam and the sub-weapon that's like similar-ish range. So that's pretty big. I think it might still have some problems like it did before, but I definitely prefer this to the S2 layout and clam butts for sure. And once again, we have the return of this from Spot Zone, so you can get up here. Again, I've only, the first time I did it was in this video, so, you know, bear with me. People are getting better at this as we go. There you go. And again, you can get a pretty good angle of what's happening over there. Go here. This is pretty much the same. You can make that jump, which is cool. But yeah, again, I'm a little mixed on a couple of the changes on this map, but overall, I think it's nice. I will say, aesthetically, they definitely changed the skybox when I was streaming this yesterday, actually, and looking at this map for the first time. The first immediate thing I stared at was the clouds. And I was commenting, like, wow, that looks like hyper-realistic clouds. Because I don't remember what the clouds look like in 2, but this is much cleaner. I like how the water looks, the layout, the city on one side, the ocean on the other. It's a very pretty map. It was one of my favorites in 2, so I'm looking forward to playing this map a lot more, for sure. Once again, subscribe if you haven't. I would appreciate it. I'll do more videos like this. I'm trying... especially this season, I'm gonna try and upload a lot more frequently. So, you know, that's a goal. And yeah, let me know what you think of this map, what your favorite layout is. Let me know if you like that jellyfish dancing over there. Pretty cool guy. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it helped. Hope it taught you some things. Maybe realize some things. I think the most notable that people don't know if you're not on Twitter is pretty much the top mid thing. That's kind of the big thing that made me go like, okay, I need to talk about these maps. I'm sure more will be discovered as days go by. So let me know if you notice anything I didn't mention explicitly. That'd be pretty cool. You can also do this jump. It was fun. It was actually kind of hard in 2, but pretty easy here. That's neat. But yeah, again, that's all I got. I'm keen. I'll see you next time, and hope you have a good day.